I steal customers' receipts and redeem their purchases to my own loyalty card. I've always been astounded at how much people spend in pharmacies, not even just on medication, but on retail items too. There was this one guy who came in and spent around $300 Australian in total. About $250 of that was on retail items. I served him and asked if he had a loyalty card. He said no, and he didn't want one. Personally, it drives me insane when people don't want to sign up to loyalty programs when they spend that much regularly. I mean, come on. It's free money, and up until recently those points have been going to waste. IF17. Work once a week for 3.5 hours on minimum wage. I am in my senior year in high school, so have had to drop my hours to accommodate for study. I have a really strong conscience and have been feeling extremely guilty. I feel like I'm committing some kind of fraud. The most I've cashed in was around $20. But I couldn't shake the guilt. It doesn't seem like a lot. But I worry someone at work will question how my points add up so quickly. I've been using the money to pay for bottled waters I take on my shifts and other things I want or need. I practically crap my pants every time someone tells me my point balance. I feel like I should stop. But it's just such a waste. I appreciate the money and it really does make a difference in my life. Both of my parents are currently unemployed, and I feel bad asking them for any help financially. I don't want to stop redeeming these receipts. It's not like it's hurting anyone, but I worry about my guilty conscience or being found out. I don't know what to do. Update. Hi guys. Thank you for all of your advice and comments. I've decided I'm not going to redeem the receipts anymore. I've looked at all your comments and I now understand the seriousness of my actions and the consequences that could follow. I feel heaps calmer with this decision. A part of me knew it was wrong. I'm just very grateful that you guys knew more about what I was doing, etc. Also, the only reason I purchase bottled water is if I've forgotten my bottle from home. But I am going to make a much more conscious effort to remember it regularly. Thank you guys a lot. I really appreciate it. Someone did this at a restaurant I worked at. She got caught and got caught. Because the district manager wanted to reach out to our most loyal customer and called the number associated with the loyalty card, and she answered. Lol. My mate ordered from their local supermarket using the Uber Eats app. On 2 occasions his receipt was in with his shopping and had someone else's loyalty details on the receipt. He reported it to the supermarket as he wanted those rewards for himself, and they were obtained fraudulently. Turns out he unknowingly uncovered a whole ring of staff who were doing this, and they all got fired. Said he felt bad about that. What's that expression about not shooting where you eat? This will actually get you fired. I'm not sure if it's worth the risk. I have a similar story about a hotel receptionist who used her credit card whenever a guest pays in cash. The hotel was not inconvenienced or anything because she actually paid for it in time. She gained so many points that she managed to get free airfare tickets for her vacations. She got sacked on the spot when she got caught. It was just too obvious when it's only one credit card number charged for a lot of the hotel accommodations. It worked until it didn't. It is fraud. I worked in IT for a retailer and the boss asked me to search for potential cases of this. The queries I wrote made it blindingly obvious which cards were racking up lots of points. Usually with the same store sales rep. Some of the people doing this tried to be smart and spread it over several cards in a few different names, but it was still obvious. Stop doing this right away. I know someone who did this and it took a while, but they got caught and the company pressed criminal charges. It is making you anxious for a reason. Supermarket in the UK I worked for 15 years ago had a system that would watch for this. Patterns in products purchased, methods of payment and card numbers, times of purchases and cashier would all highlight very quickly where this was happening. Your job is not worth risking for an occasional $20. In the US, people have been caught and charged with fraud for this. I can assure you, dude, if it's Chemist Warehouse or one of those other massive chain pharmacies, they will likely not even notice. But if it's weighing on you and making you anxious, then stop. You're not hurting the company, nor the customers, but you are hurting yourself. And it's not worth the mental anguish. Wishing you all the best for the rest of year 12. Enjoy it while it lasts. Heart. As someone who is the reason you can't do this as an employee at Staples, you will get fired. I was about your age and I was doing basically the same thing. Also had to reimburse them for what I redeemed. Please stop. I understand your circumstances as we've been here before. But there's an old saying, cheaters never prosper. Quit this now before you too are not only unemployed but rack up unaffordable fines. Charges that will go on your record so nobody will hire you again. And worst of all, disappoint your parents. This was an issue at my job. Some of our top employees got fired for doing this. One now owes $10,000 to the store. Morally, I'd say it's not the biggest issue, because these corporations rake in millions of dollars anyways. But if you want to keep your job, I'd stop doing it. Can't you register a card in someone else's name and redeem the points to that? Then spend them at a store other than the one you work at. You won't likely get caught then. The last retailer I worked for tracked and fired people for this sort of thing. It isn't worth it. I mean, it is fraud. And most companies will fire you for this. So, stop doing it. I worked for a big retail chain for years and I saw numerous people get fired for that reason. Not worth the anxiety nor the termination. I worked at a big chain pharmacy. One of my coworkers did this and got fired for it. The company's loss prevention watches out for this exact things, and as much as I can empathize with your situation, I recommend you stop. We had to fire an employee for this. It's theft and fraud. You're best off just stopping. The corporate office was tracking her for a while before we even knew on the store level. They know, and if they don't, they will. I've seen people do this at multiple companies and it ends with paying them back some. This most likely is theft in many countries. I work in a grocery store. We have had several people fired over the years for this. We earn money for gas stations. Yeah, you're probably already being investigated. Wouldn't be surprised if loss prevention has already been called out to your store to pull footage. You're going to confess a crime. Please get a damn diary or whatever instead of posting it on social media. Then again, it's whatever at this point. LMAO. I rarely visit our local drugstore, so when they ask me if I want to scan my rewards card, I'll ask if the cashier wants the points. I don't see why it would be a big deal. It's no different than if I would have received the points. I've been young and dumb. I did this before working at a retail store mid-90s. I'm 35 now. You are being watched. No matter how much you think you're a good worker or how little hours you work, they are going to notice transactions, sales of your loyalty card being used. Especially on the clock. You'll eventually get called to the back and fired. I would stop.